Wendy Johnson and her husband Johnny own and operate Joia Food Farm, Charles City, Iowa. They've got some animals: pigs, farm cats, cows, sheep, and a whole variety of crops. They love it here.
She's the only girl that does this.
Wendy didn't always work on a farm. In her 20s, she moved to LA to work in the fashion industry.
You can tell by the way I dress right now how that turned out.
After 5 years, she needed a change.
I was thirsty for something different, something that just had more meaning.
So she came back to Iowa and started to shake things up with Joia Food Farm. She saw a disconnect between people and their food.
We're seeing just this large amount of people that don't understand where their food comes from, except for going to a grocery store, because that's just how it always has been.
She wanted to bring community awareness to the relationship between people and the land, and the food that land produces.
Food comes from somewhere, and people actually help grow that food. There is actually an occupation out there that's called a farmer that grows food for people.
And as she learned more about this relationship between ourselves and the land, she started to change the way she operated her farm. They used to feed their sheep corn in a feedlot. Sheep had tons of problems: diarrhea, disease, worms, all kinds of gross stuff. She thought that felt wrong.
I just always wondered, who would eat that? Who eats that?
So she took her sheep onto pasture.
It was like night and day. Like, no disease, no diarrhea, no problems. Their eyes were like full of life, like they were thriving. It was just like, hey, animals are supposed to eat what they're made to eat. She's such a cutie too. Yes, you are.
Wendy picked up on the synergy between plants and animals and worked with nature to help her farm prosper.
We're working with nature here. Like, we can't control nature. As much as we want to try, we can't. And so why not work with it instead of against it?
She knows that we're just a tiny little piece of the big puzzle, but we have a big role to play.
We're humans, we're animals. We're part of this whole system. We may be the top dog, but we're part of the system, and we can't just live without it.
She wants to help alter the direction of climate change, and her farm is a step in the right direction.
Because climate change is such a divisive term in certain circles, and so being in an agricultural organization with other agriculturalists who are passionate about what they can do for the environment and for climate change, it's a breath of fresh air to be able to express myself and what we can do as humans on this planet for such a short time.
Wendy knows that we're a part of this world, not separate from it. She sees the value in getting your hands dirty and understanding how the outside world works.
I just really want to press about just how interconnected humans are to the food we eat, the food we raise, and I really invite every opportunity to experience that too. Getting out of the comfort zone of your work and kind of apartment box that people live in the city, and like getting out to nature opens your eyes to all other sorts of things and our place in nature.
She realizes that her work doesn't have a playbook or manuscript. There aren't any lists you can follow or books you can read to figure it out.
A lot of it is experiential, and you have to make mistakes, and you have a few successes, but you have a lot of mistakes, and you learn from those mistakes.
But she also knows that by working with nature, figuring it out as she goes, listening to what the land says back to her, she can do the most to help the planet.
I feel like I can really make a much bigger impact because I think land is highly impactful, and it can be highly impactful negatively or positively. The way it is managed is what makes the difference.